How does a cool $250,000 in that Saturday late pick 4 guarantee sound? I thought so. Welcome aboard, Jason Blewitt. A quick little, we'll say, gleam over Saturday's late pick 4 here at the Big A. We have the 10-race card, of course, 1:20 p.m. the first post. We'll have the Big A handicapping challenge. Best of luck to all the players in there, and it's good to see some of the hard-hitting claimers from the Big Apple, and of course up and down the Northeast, and even some parts out from the Midwest getting a chance to hit the spotlight. The real heart and soul, bread and butter of the game, and they'll get their day on a card just pretty much dedicated to them. And good to see some familiar names in the mix as far as the races. Kelly Kipp, Stud Muffin, More to Tell, Kaisha Electronica, Carol Korn Electra, some old favorites in here. How could I leave out Extra Heat? We'll talk about, of course, though, with this little segment, the late pick 4. Race number 7 is where it all begins. We're on the main track. We're inching so close to the turf season, but we're on the main track for all 10 races. And the late pick 4 jump starts with the $75,000 Stud Muffin, Toledo Eddie. And we saw David Jacobson, the trainer, who's now the owner and the trainer of Toledo Eddie, bring Room for Me from west to east last year around this time, and man, oh man, did she get good. Well, I'm sure he's hoping to do the same with the 3 Toledo Eddie, who might just be the first Idaho-bred I've ever seen run in the Big Apple, and this is one tough horse. As he comes out of a just monstrous, eviscerating 106 Beyer and daylight score at Santa Anita, he's the horse to beat. I will add, though, he is coming out of a card. It did appear, going back through the charts, that inside speed was where you wanted and what you wanted on that March 6th card out at Santa Anita. There were 5 inside speed winners altogether, and a 6th who was around 7 or 8 to 1 missed by a nose. So that's just a little bit of a cause for pause with the horse, who I'm very anxious to see what he can do. African Fighter, the 4 for Todd Pletcher, has obviously stepped up his game, I'd say, on an overall talent level and certainly speed figure level, and he's the other one I want to use in race number 7. They would be 2 A's for me. Moving on to the older fillies and mares as we stay out of that chute way down the backstretch with the one-turn mile, $60,000 Sis City. This race, I think, a bit deeper per se. Horses aren't as good, but a bit deeper and a bit trickier than the group I just talked about in the Stud Muffin. Just got out. The inside runner looks kind of interesting. She's in good form, looking for 3 straight wins off the claim for Bruce Levine. David Jacobson, much like we talked about with Toledo Eddie, has claimed a number of horses and or privately purchased a number of horses with the intent on shipping them east for this claiming championship event, and he's got the 3 Ken Babe, who might just be, when it comes down to talent, the best horse in the race. I also want to give a pop to the 4 Push Me Pull You, who is a touch slow for the most part, but she was pretty sharp through the second half of 2015, and I do think the one-turn mile will really be an optimum distance for her as she goes out for Joe Orsino. They've got to get around the 3 Ken Babe, but I'll use 1, 3, and 4 in race number 8. Moving on to the Kaisha Electronica. It's been about 2 years since he passed away over at Belmont Park, and he's a horse I know still has a very strong following and will be one of my favorite horses for the rest of my life, and it's good to see his name in the program with the 9th race, the $80,000 Kaisha at 7 furlongs on the main track. Looks like there's a lot of pace in this race. Looks like a number of these horses. Integrity on the rail. Classic Salsa trying 7, stretching out off good 6 furlong races. Bon Vigilante going 7, and even Chero towards the outside as he cuts back with Kendra Carmouche. I think they're going to be rolling in here, and this race looks like it certainly has the potential to fall apart at crunch time, and that would make 83, assuming he shows up with an A effort. He's been a little inconsistent, mainly that race 2 back against Angry Moon, but his A effort might just be good enough with the right kind of trip to get it done. And even concerning the pace, Chero's been unbelievable. He's coming out of a too good to lose trip here and effort on February 20th. Newbin Ridge, as far as a deep closer going 7, he's going to get a good pace. He'll be a nice price as well, but again, Again, 83. I didn't see the morning line, but I've got to think he'll be perhaps an underlaid favorite just because of that overall race flow he's likely to receive. And the Saturday card, and of course that 250 large guaranteed late pick 4 comes to a close with the older fillies and mares and the Karakoram Electra. As far as this race, maybe not as fast as far as early pace goes, considering the Colts and Geldings we just talked about in the race prior. But I do think you're going to get an honest tempo in this race, and that may really help a horse like the 7, Nuff Said, who was wired last time out by Sun and Moon in a slow-paced race on the inner. I think she is very dangerous, first off the claim with about 50 days between starts for Danny Gargan. I like Danny's other horse, the 5, Line Esperada, who's never been better. Rudy Rodriguez, who just sat down with Luis Granderson. You can check out that video a bit later on YouTube. Has got 2 in this race, Champagne Ruby and Natalie Victoria. Of the pair from Rudy, I like the 8 Champagne Ruby a bit better. This is where Erad goes, and unlike Natalie Victoria, I do think 7 furlongs, for all intents and purposes, is the better distance. I just don't think Natalie Victoria, who's had a good career and oftentimes has been the beneficiary of gold rails and paceless races, I just don't think 7/8 in a field like this is really up her alley. So it should be a fun day. Again, 10 races on Saturday, 250,000, the guaranteed minimum in that late pick 4 that kicks off with race number 7. Forecast looks great, and again, thanks for joining me. And don't forget that 20% late pick 4 winner's bonus available at m.nyra.com. It's a very easy game. You hop over to the new mobile site. It is very intuitive, very seamless, and I like to compare it to basically Star Wars as far as the technology in the palm of your hand. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the Florida Derby, and best of luck in the Big A's late pick 4.